Hey, and welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. As always, on my left, I'm joined by Nick Payman, and on my right, Dan Holt. I'm James McFarlane, and this week we are talking about how Google has announced, I think it was the 23rd, that they are no longer providing keyword data for organic searches. So no longer can people see that Nick has been searching for Habbo Hotel Key Generator. No longer can they see that Dan Holt's been searching for what is this weird bump behind my ear. And no longer can they see that I've been searching how can I become even more cool and even more popular. And the thing is with this is, what I find really interesting about this story is they basically announced that they're no longer providing keyword data for organic searches. However, they are going to continue to provide keyword data for AdWords and kind of paid traffic, which is kind of creating this two-tier system from organic and AdWords. Now, do we feel like this trend is going to continue? And should we be alarmed by this, Dan?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the trend did continue. I don't think we need to be too alarmist about it, but certainly I think we're already seeing signs that this is the direction Google are taking. I think there's all sorts of collections of data within analytics that Google could block off from an organic point of view under the guise of privacy concerns. So whether it's engagement information, conversion information, landing page information, there's all sorts of bits of data that Google may or may not decide to block off. And I think what was a really interesting development on Monday was this estimated total conversion reporting feature within Google AdWords, which will provide a very detailed insight into the way that your AdWords campaign is impacting not only sort of cross-device purchases, so you click an ad on one device, you make the purchase on another device, but also in-store, physically using smartphone data, and also over the phone as well. Now, I just don't see a day where Google are going to start to offer this kind of data for organic searches. I think this trend is, I think it's definitely on the cards. I wouldn't get too alarmed by it, however, because I think ultimately anything that forces us to diversify, so whether, for example, at a simple level, that's using Bing Webmaster Tools, for example, for some of your keyword information, or much more importantly, anything that forces us to develop our brands through a more diverse range of channels, I think is inherently a positive thing.
Yeah. I think this whole privacy thing about this keyword data being hidden for privacy concerns is nonsense. I mean, they had a bit of an argument when it was kind of only people that were logged into their Google account where they'd hide the privacy, the keyword data. Now it's just full-blown everyone, and that's just obviously nothing to do with privacy, it's to do with making money. And they'll do a good job of it, and I think people will move a bit towards pay-per-click to get this stuff. What I do think is interesting though is that, I mean, analytics has been around for several years now, and it's probably the best platform out there for measuring your website traffic and doing like detailed conversion analysis. And it's free as well, which is the big thing. And I don't see it staying completely free that much longer. I think they'll start selling freemium products, so whether it's unlocking some of that data, but what you're saying there is that you wouldn't imagine that kind of data about in-store purchases or cross-device purchases being available as organic, but it certainly could be if they charge for it. Like, it makes a lot of sense to do what they've done, which is get every single webmaster pretty much. Like, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but it would be a huge amount, millions of people installing the software for free, rolling back the data, and then selling it out again, and basically making a hell of a lot of money off the back of it. So I think that's almost certainly the line they're going to take at some point. They've made a lot of changes to analytics recently. It could be quite soon, but yeah, we'll wait and see it.
I mean, I think we've been doing this long enough for me to be able to kind of speak candidly here, and I apologise, guys, but I think Google has screwed me, right? They have really screwed me as a webmaster. They basically said, get analytics because you get all this data. So I put it on. And they've given me some keyword data, and then basically they've taken that data away from me. They still know the data, and they can still use my website data kind of to measure changes. I'm not saying that they include it into the algorithm, but I'd imagine, if they make a change, they're probably going to look at analytics data and see if it's kind of improved at the sites they wanted to improve. And basically, they've done that. They're using my data. They've got all that information, and they've said, well, I'm not going to give this to you anymore. And I just feel, from a webmaster point of view, I feel screwed. I don't think it's to do with privacy. I realise there's reasons why they've done it, but I'm angry about it. I'm really angry about it.
What would be great is if this not provided stuff, if actually Google scrambled it for themselves, so no one got the data. But
Yeah.
clearly that's.
I mean, yeah, I'm guessing that's probably not too realistic.
I wouldn't imagine that's the case.
Well, guys, kind of on that note, as Google are taking away data from us, if you could request one piece of data that Google gave you about a visitor, what would it be and why? Dan?
Well, it's going to have to be 3 pieces of data. You see, Plenty of Fish isn't really working for me very well at the moment. So ideally, what I'd like to see for each visitor to the site is gender, relationship status. Ideally, some sort of like age bracket as well. So let's keep it pretty broad, like 20 to 48.
Why
Ideally
cut it
it's-
off at 48?
Well, okay, let's say 20 upwards. And ideally maybe like some personal information, like what's their favourite film, just so when we have that initial conversation, I can just cunningly weave that into it.
Yeah.
Although I can't imagine I'm going to get that kind of data unless I'm paying for it via AdWords.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
thank you,
great idea.
Dan Holt, sexual predator, everyone.
Yeah,
Nick,
very good.
what sort of data would you
Less
get?
sexually geared. I would go down the route of probably, having a bit more, there's obviously very serious things you might take into account, like someone's personal income or something, but, to keep it in light of your comment there, Dan, I think I'd probably go down the route of user expression data, the facial expression that someone has when they land on your page. So if they've read a blog post, are they lolling out loud, or are they actually just kind of like, confused, or, yeah, exactly, are they doing that, or are they just sitting there mildly disinterested? That's what I'd love to know, just what they're looking like.
What do you think
when
they're doing
actually
now?
reading content. I'm not sure. I'd like to think they're lolling.
I don't know if I want to know the
I don't
information. I
know.
think ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
I mean, for me,
absolutely
my one's kind of a bit sad. I think it'd be really interesting if, basically, if I had like a conversion figure for kind of, would they consider being my friend? Because I just think that would be an interesting thing to have, and you could change something about yourself for that
Or really
week,
depressing.
and then see how that kind of goes. Yeah, it
I
could
mean,
be
it really just no, and you keep changing, and everyone's still saying no.
No, that could be.
Could be sad.
No, well, yeah, you've given me a good point there. Maybe I don't need that information.
That ignorance again, mate.
Well, thank you very much, guys. As always, this has been the Inbound Debate, and we'll see you next week.